Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you started to tell me on the last take that your father, along with a lot of other people, were involved in the planning of the D-Day invasion.
Yes, he was.
Normandy.
He was stationed in England and partly over there because he spoke so many languages. That's what got him where he was going. A lot of it, and he was in on that,
Mm-hmm.
on planning the D-Day invasion. And
From how many languages what type?
7 languages he could speak and write.
So we're talking English and what else?
Well, I
Spanish
can't even
and
name them all, but
yeah.
all the ones he needed, and he picked them up so easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to have been Quinny's help. She taught him a lot and
Nice.
encouraged him a lot that Mammy would never, his parents would never have done.
Wow.
So
Yeah, from what I've seen from documentaries, they had a lot of things. They put up decoy armies, including inflatable tanks in different parts of the.
Well, you know, when we were, I guess it was when we were in Hawaii, maybe.
Well, he was in the Navy, so he was probably involved with arranging the transportation of all the
He
men and
was
material across the channel.
he was surveying the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacific Ocean around the islands between the Hawaiian Islands and Japan and Alaska and that triangle. And he had a little boat,
That was after the war, though, wasn't it?
that part, yeah, I guess it was. Yeah. But he'd been over there beforehand because he'd been doing quite a bit of investigating.
Interesting. Now, I know that right before your mother died, before Grandpeg died, quite oftentimes she'd start talking about stuff that I think was probably just pillow talk between your parents.
It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been, I don't know. She had... I remember going up Cove's Edge at that time was on the 3rd floor of the hospital.
Yeah.
And not in a separate building. And I went in there one day and found her right outside the nurse's station and parked there. And I said to her, I said, aha, they've got you right where they can watch you. Oh, no, she said. You can see her.
Yeah.
I am here to watch them.
That's priceless.
And you know, just before she died, and John Nickerson had gone in to see her, and she looked up and she said, "It's time to go." And he said, "Yes, it is." And she died soon after. And they didn't call me. I was a little upset because they were supposed to call me if she was close to it.
Yeah.
But she was in and out of it, I guess, for a bit, so I didn't make it.
I remember near the end she used to eat, basically, what was it, just ice cream or something like that.
Well, your grandmother, being the 3rd child, as Greg is,
Yeah.
they're the ones with the iffy sensation of not knowing which way to go. She was determined to see the world. That's what she wanted to do more than anything else. And when she and Dad, when she was in college, and Grandpa Tom was going to send all his kids to college come hell or high water somehow.
Yeah.
And she had gone to Connecticut College for Women, and the London Officer School something was right there. War College was right there in New London, and she and Dad met, and it was just absolutely perfect match. You couldn't have beat it. And they tried to talk her out of it, and she wouldn't listen. She wouldn't hear any of it.
She wanted to travel, among other things.
She wanted to travel, but she wanted to go with him. They got along fine, so.
Nice.
And the gal he was engaged to was having a fit, I guess. Well, her father had stepped in.
Wanted him to get out of the Navy.
Insisted, expected if his daughter married him that
he'd inherit the
would
business.
get out of the Navy and go run the family business. Yeah. No way.
Oh.
Dad was very, very insistent on making us understand that everybody's the same color under the skin. You can't blame anybody for the color they were born with and all these things. and he never yelled at any of us that I remember. He might raise his voice a little once
He'd
in a
reason
while.
with you.
He would explain why he was upset.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't make a loud noise, really.
So you'd actually learn from it. You
Yeah,
would be
so we learned
scared,
something from
scared
it,
of him.
and you remembered what he said,
Mm-hmm.
which you wouldn't have if he'd yelled.
The
So
only-
he also believed that everybody had the right to choose the church.
Mm-hmm.
We were not baptized. He said, when you're old enough to know what it's all about and you want to be baptized, go right ahead.
Yeah.
And wherever we moved, we went to the closest. He did send us to church.
Mm-hmm.
His was the golf course, of course. Well, that's all right. If
That's
we
funny.
found God on the golf course, that's fine.
Yeah, he was on the back nine.
Yeah, that's right. Kendall took up golf. Mother loved to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Your father played golf with me,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed it, but played for fun. And that was it. Kendall did, of course, but Richard never played golf and couldn't see the point of it at all. Richard is a different cloth.
How about Anne?
And
Now I'm trying to remember the chronology. You're firstborn. Anne was the secondborn.
I'm first,
Richard
Ann
and then
second, then Richard, then Kendall.
right.
And those three were just a little over a year apart, sort of.
Oh, no kidding.
Of course, there was almost 5 years between Ann and me. The same, and I was that much older than your father.
Mm-hmm.
But Ann was rather sickly when she was born, same as Dad had been when he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be exposed to everything. I never got sick. I was always
'Cause you
in
built
the
up an
middle of
immunity.
whatever it was. I'd pick it up, take it home, and she'd end up with it.
That's
Didn't
funny.
matter what it was.
Yeah.
She had everything that I was exposed to. I got none of it. I've never had a flu shot. I'm not going to have one if I can help it because I've never gotten the flu. But I did bring the flu home, and they had it. Everybody else. In the
So
house had
essentially,
it.
what you're saying is you're a carrier.
I'm a carrier, but particularly healthy.
Yeah.
Just why I don't know. But,
I was going to say, I know that you're 93. I could have you hold up that many fingers, but that might take a while. And last time we
Well,
put all those candles on the cake, we
I
had the
know.
fire department show up to see what was up.
It's interesting. I can't explain it, but anyway, when she got breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and it metastasized into her bones, and her pelvic bone was crumbs. Absolutely. They didn't know that in those days, that's what happened. They hadn't seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so she started out that way, and she couldn't pick up her grandchildren, and particularly the new triplets that Wendy had presented her with.
Yeah.
And that hurt more than anything. And she found that the chiropractor was more help to her than the doctors were. They didn't know what to do about it. So
Oh.
that's the way that worked out.
Oh.
Yeah.
So shifting gears here.
Yes, we are. I'm sorry.
No. I'm shifting gears.
Oh, you're
no
shifting.
no
All right.
apologies needed. I know that Dad was a school photographer,
Yes.
and I know you're the head of the PTA, and you did know Yogi Berra somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And I know that Ken and your first husband and Dad's wife ran
Yeah.
off. Now, how did you and Dad first meet? Were you working with him?
We were living in New Jersey
Yeah.
on Ruckman Road,
Mm-hmm.
and he.
What town was that?
What time?
No town.
What town? Woodcliff Lake.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he was working his job, and he had a dark room, and they lived right next door to us.
Yeah.
And he had a dark room over there, and I was working with him because everybody else was in school at the time, I think, or close to it. Anyway,
Mhm.
I was working with him in the dark room, learning to print and so forth and
Oh,
so
neat.
on. Absolutely nothing was going on,
Yeah.
although people were suspecting it, but nothing was.
Oh, that's normal.
But Ken kept sort of pushing him because he began to realize that growing up in Delaware was pretty close to it. He hadn't seen the world, and I had seen everything.
Now,
He'd been everywhere. And he wanted to go too.
Wasn't Ken originally a country boy?
Hmm?
Wasn't your first husband like a country boy?
Yes, he had grown up on the farm down in Delaware. And nobody had ever taught him. His grandmother loved him to death. And his grandfather was always asleep in a ditch somewhere, but he'd be working and then he'd get tired and he'd go to sleep. They'd have to go looking for him.
Oh my God!
But
That's
the first time I ever met, he took me to meet his family there. His mother and father ran a dance hall. His father had an instrument that played everything in the dance hall, and they were very busy there. And so nobody really taught him the facts of life or anything. He learned from watching what the animals did and so forth and so on. And that's how, and the first time he asked me if I'd go down to meet his family.
Yeah.
And I said yes, and we went down there. And first thing, his grandfather he was planting, I think he was planting tomatoes,
Yeah.
plants. But I took my shoes off because everything was muddy and I didn't feel like getting wet. So I'm walking out there barefooted, and he just approved of me right on the spot. If I could do that, I was for him.
That's funny.
And so I had a great in with his family there.
Nice.
And your brother here
Yeah.
was 2 at the time. No, was he? No.
He was younger and
No,
shorter.
we went back later.
No beard.
I had him almost potty trained and housebroken, and left him with Victor and Viola for a weekend, and came back, and Viola didn't want to bother with that. She loved the baby, but she wasn't going to have anything to do with it.
Now,
So I had to start all over
who were
again.
Victor and Viola?
Well, they were
Neighbors?
Ken's family.
Oh, okay.
Victor was the brother, the second one down from Uncle. What was the oldest one's name? Oh, I knew them all.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was the second brother down, I think.
Oh,
And Viola was his wife.
yeah.
And they were very loving, nice people, but they were country people. And I had nothing in common with them, really, except what I had learned on my grandfather's,
Yeah.
because he was a good farmer too.
Yeah.
So I was approved thoroughly by
Neat.
the family. That was fine, and we got along just fine. And
Now, you went through a regular wedding with your first husband. Now, what was it like when you and Dad got married? Was there a lot of outrage because of what had happened? or-
well, I don't remember an awful lot.
Yeah?
And I think I know that
It's over 50 years ago.
Well, yeah, no, not only that, but Else never. I don't know. Luke Garnell got in the act here
Mm-hmm.
because he started making up to Else, and she had a book about the facts of life that she left lying around, thinking Ken would pick it up and
Oh,
learn
no kidding.
something instead of teaching him. And we were in college. We met the first day of college,
Yeah?
and immediately liked each other and we had a lot of fun. But then he had a very bad habit of, this is veering from what you started there.
Yeah?
Sorry, he had a bad habit of having me for a date whenever he wanted to go out.
Gotcha.
And a big weekend would come up and he'd bring Jeannie up from home because he knew what she'd do with him. And
Oh, my
I
God.
wouldn't. So.
Now, I'm trying to remember Pop's, my father's
Uh-huh.
first wife's name. Was it Bonnie?
Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Got in the act.
Yeah.
Bonnie actually wasn't she Ken, wasn't Bonnie Ken's, your father's date or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bill didn't have anything to do with Bonnie,
Yeah.
really, no.
Oh.
No, she was character.
Well, I'm gonna cut it off here,
Okay.
and next time I come down, we'll pick it up.